Physical security control mechanism. Exercise 1, physical security. Physical security is as critical as logical security. In logical security, we secure the systems, servers, and network devices using various software and tools. However, physical security uses various methods and techniques to ensure the safety of the organization and its infrastructure. In this exercise, you will learn about the various methods and techniques used in physical security. Learning outcome. After completing this exercise, you should have further knowledge of bollards or barricades, man traps, badges, alarms, signage, CCTV cameras, industrial camouflage, personnel, locks, USB data blocker, lighting, fencing, suppression, sensors, drones or UAV, visitor logs, Faraday cages, air gap, protected cable distribution, demilitarized zone, secure areas. Your devices. This exercise contains supporting materials for security, bollards or barricades. Bollards are vertical posts that create a protective boundary around a building. They are usually designed to mark boundaries and prevent vehicles from entering a specific area. They are usually fixed into the ground. They prevent any vehicle to just pass through. You can also have you can also have collapsible bollards, which can be used to add standoff distances, protect garage, and provide hostile surveillance. However, they are specifically useful where there may be a need for authorized traffic. Barricades prevent people from accessing specific area. They can also be used for allowing vehicle access in a specific manner. For example, military areas usually have zigzag barricades which force the vehicles to slow down. Both bollards and barricades serves as deterrent control, which is designed to deter attackers. Man traps, tailgating, and piggybacking is a big problem for organizations and is considered to be one of the easiest methods to enter the premises. Tailgating is a social engineering act of gaining access to an electronically electronically locked system or restricted area by following a user who has legitimate access, intending to access vulnerable information. When the legitimate user swipes his badge or enter the passcode to enter the building, you enter through the secure door before it closes by the following user. To prevent piggy banking and tailgating, you can implement man trap. In a man trap, only one person enters the man trap, and the entry door closed after the person authenticates himself or herself. The exit door opens after the first person moves out the exit door. The second person can enter the man trap. Man traps are installed to prevent tailgating and piggy banking. Badges. In older time, ID badges contain the user's photography and some personal details, which were verified by the security guards. However, the scenario might also continue with some of the organizations. It is a problem to verify hundreds of users at any given time. One of the easiest solutions was to then use ID badges which carries a magnetic strip within the ID cards. which could either be scanned or swiped. Once the card is scanned or swiped, the user is defined. A more recent invention is to use ID cards that carry radio frequency identification, which could be detected by the proximity reader. It could detect the ID card with RFID and authenticate the user. The ID card carrying RFID simply transmit the number to the proximity reader, and based on the number the user is defined. Alarms. An alarm is a detective control which is used for detecting malicious activity. Alarms, also known as security alarms, are nowadays used everywhere at home, industry, and even on military premises. Organizations install alarms that can be trigger of malicious activities are performed, such as breaking into the building. Let's take an example. Your organization is housed in a four-story building. There is an alarm system at every door which detects if everyone forcibly tries to open the door. If the door is forcibly opened, the alarm is triggered. Signage plays a critical role in personal safety. They may be certain areas that are accident prone or can be considered dangerous in a building. You would need to put appropriate signage so that people know that they are not supposed to be entering a particular area or room. Signage can be warning or simple information. For example, signage may warn people about the danger of fire. Information signage may simply be placed outside a room, stating that it is a meeting room. CCTV cameras can detect unauthorized entrance, but they cannot prevent it. Usually, lockpicking does not leave any external damage, and therefore it's hard to prove that it ever took place. Security camera can also work as deter- deterrent and provide proof if an illegal proceeding. Motion detection. These cameras identify moving objects. They ex- they extract the overall boundaries of an object, and if the object moves out of the boundary, then the motion vectors are calculated, which the calculation of the motion vectors, the new position of the object in motion is calculated. Good use of these cameras can be front door or even at the entrance of the server room. Object detection is mainly used to detect specific objects. For example, you can put a camera on the street to figure out objects in motion. When an object is determined, a rectangle is drawn around to make it look different from the other objects. Industrial camouflage to protect a company's data and network infrastructure. Camouflage techniques can be used to disguise specific characteristics of the company's network infrastructure. This can be achieved by creating decoy systems that are masquerading as the legitimate system. For example, when an attacker attempts to breach the network or has already gained unlawful access to the decoy system, their behavior and objectives can be monitored. This information can be used to harden this product environment to prevent potential attacks and exploit. Personnel. There are different personnel who play a critical role in physical security. Let's have a look at each of these personnel and their roles. Guards to protect a building or premise. For a premise, you can deploy fences, bollards, and barricades. However, these are passive methods. On the other hand, guards are active entities that can question the individual entering the premises. Based on their decision, they can judge whether a person is malicious or genuine. In most organizations, guards are deployed at the main gate as well as the entrance of the building. In some cases, guards not only make an entry of the visitor in their visitor logbook but also carry the responsibility of monitoring the CCTV cameras. Robot sentries are auto. autonomous robots who are designed to patrol specific area. They are un- unmanned, which means that they function on their own. In some cases, such as borders, they may be armed. In some countries, they are deployed to guard critical infrastructure such as a nuclear plant. Even though robot centers are autonomous, they're still remotely controlled by human reception. Almost all organizations the reception have receptions. One of the reception's key functions is to attend to visitors and ensure that the visitor sits in the designated area. Only after authorization from the employee can they proceed to specific area where the meeting needs to be held. Several organizations also have webcams placed on the reception to make an entry pass for the visitors. The entry pass has the visitors' photographs and also has a place for the employee signature who attends the visitors. Two-person integrity or control is a type of separation of duties. In critical tasks, two people are required to complete tasks. For example, if there is a finance approval required, you would need two levels of approvals before the payment can be made out to an individual or a vendor. Another example that would fit well is in this content is the bank locker. You would need your key and then another key that belongs to bank personnel. Both keys are required to open the locker. The bank personnel cannot simply open the locker with a single key. Locks are essential for any house or building to secure them from any kind of thief, depending on the critical and importance of the objects. You may put a specific type of lock. Let's understand the types of lock that can be used to secure a building or premises. Physical lock is either installed on the door or can be individual lock. A physical lock is opened with a key. Typically, a physical lock would have three or four copies of the keys. There are several varieties of locks, physical locks. One is residential key entry lock. On the outside of the lock, you have a knob and contains a key entry hole. This type of lock is mostly used in houses. The other type is the deadbolt lock, which is mostly used in commercial complexes. This type of lock has a solid metal that gets inserted into the wall for secure locking, as compared to the residential entry lock. The deadbolt lock provides higher security because you would have to cut the metal bar to open it. Both of these types of locks require a key to lock and unlock. Electronic locks are use a key combination to open. You have to press a series of numbers in a particular order to open a electronic lock. An advanced version of an electronic lock is a cipher lock, which has more features. You can program it to make it work for a certain time. For example, you can program to make it work only from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. during weekdays. The rest of the time and on weekend, the cipher lock will not work. Biometric locks usually have a fingerprint scanner. When you place a finger on a lock, it scans the finger and depending upon if you are a legitimate user, it authorizes your entry while unlocking the door. Some biometric locks also have a numeric keypad and manual lock, which requires a key for the lock. More sophisticated biometric locks can also include retinal scan, however, most of them have fingerprint scan capabilities. Cable locks, imagine a scenario where you need to put several laptops in an exhibition where visitors would like to experience your product. In the previous exhibition, two, laps, two laptops were stolen. Since there are thousands of visitors daily, you want to ensure that the laptops are protected from theft. The ideal solution would be to use cable locks which connects the laptop from a physical thief. Most portable devices, such as laptops, have a security slot where the cable lock is placed and locked. The lock is connected to the cable which has another end that is tied to the desk. USB data blocker is a small USB device that is plugged into the USB port of a charging station. It is quite difficult to determine if a public charging station is prone to deliver malware or steal data from your phone when you plug it in. The USB data blocker prevents any kind of infection in your phone from the charging station. You need to plug in the USB data blocker into the charging station and then plug in your phone cable into the USB data blocker, which adds a layer of protection. Your phone is still charged, but the hacker cannot extract data. Lighting is easy for an intruder to sneak into a building. When it is dark, lighting is the deterrent control that prevents intruders from breaking into the building. Consider a scenario if your building has security cameras, but it is dark inside the building, the cameras won't be able to capture any clear picture. If someone breaks into the building, you will never be able to find out anything from the video recording. More lighting means more security. The cameras have a clear view when there are proper lighting installed. Fencing are usually installed to guard a building. Fence should be tall enough to prevent anyone from climbing over to make it even more difficult for the intruder. You can also install reservoir on the top of the fence. Fences should be strong enough to be knocked down by an individual depending on the requirement. The fencing may be see-through. It could also be opaque, which prevents an individual from finding out what is on the other side. Fire suppression. A fire within a building can break out anytime, and most of the time the reason can only be found after you have managed to put the fire. However, by this time you have incurred huge losses as most the equipment is damaged and left unusable. The fire suppression system should be placed in the most critical place of the building, which is the data center. You can install a water sprinkler system on the other places of the building, which can simply get triggered when there is a fire. However, in the server room or data center, the water sprinkler system would make things worse and can cause more damage to the equipment. The most suitable solution is to install fire suppression system. A fire suppression system has components that detects the fire through various stages, such as heat, smoke, and then fire. Most fire suppression systems have a built-in alarm system which gets triggered when the fire is detected. Depending on the system of fire suppression system, it can either release the fire extinguishing substance automatically or manually. Sensors can be used for various purposes. They can be used to detect motion or even the proximity reader to detect ID cards with RFID. Sensors can also be used for monitoring temperatures. Let's look at some of the key purposes where sensors play a critical role. Motion detection. Sensor work on their capabilities to detect the motion of the object. For example, consider that you have a room where a critical server is kept. No one is supposed to be entering the room. You have motion detection sensors installed. Now, if a moving object is detected, when an audible alarm can be triggered. Noise detection sensor has the capability of detecting various types of noises. For example, if it detects a large stamp noise, it can either trigger an alarm. Proximity reader is used with ID cards or any other types of card that are carries RFID. When the ID card is moved close to the proximity reader, it details are captured. Moisture detection is an organization detecting moisture is critical. For example, condensation can cause various problems such as corrosion, rush, or short circulating. On the other hand, low or more missing moisture can cause electrostatic electrotactic discharge. Therefore, in most of the server rooms, you will find that there are moisture detection sensor which reports about moisture regularly. Temperature, there is no doubt that server rooms or data center generate a large amount of heat. You need to have methods to measure the appropriate temperature, whether hot or cold. You need to ensure that the temperature is appropriate, which can be done with the help of temperature sensors. Temperature sensors can be of two types, contact-based and non-contact-based. Contact-based temperature sensors need to be connected with the object. On the other hand, non-contact-based temperature sensors can be convection and hydration to monitor temperature change. Drone or a UAV, it is a small aerial vehicle that is used for various purposes such as surveillance. It can fly with a controlled flight plan and controlled through sensors and GPS. A drone works with two different signals, raising and downlink signals. The drone receives rising signals. The rising signals can be in the form of radio command or GPS signals. However, this can be replaced by lower signals that are sent by an attacker. The lower signals replace the rising signals to allow the attacker to take control of the fly drone. The attacker can change the flying part of the drone. The drone sends the downlink signal. The signal may contain the flight information or video transmission, both of which can be intercepted by the attacker. Video transmission is typically being transmitted in an unsecured manner that is sus- susceptible to intercept. The downlink and rising signal are not protected or rather encrypted. Therefore, both the signal can be intercepted and allow the attacker to modify the transmission or take control of the drone. Visitor log, and when a visitor enter a organization premises, the guard should make an entry in the visitor logs along with the entry. The exit of the visitor should also be logged. Some of the key information that should be captured about the visitor is as follows: name of the visitor, organization of the visitor, entry and date time, exit date, exit date and time, mobile number, name of the employee to whom the visitor needs to meet. Many organizations have removed the physical entry method, which has to capture the detail in the register. Some organizations create a temporary visitor card that is valid for a fixed duration and also mention that areas that the visitor is authorized to visit. Some organizations create a small printed slip with all the required details and required required to concerned employee to sign the slip before leaving the premises. Whichever method that you use depends on your organization. However, it is highly critical that the visitor log can be reviewed from time to time, perhaps daily, to ensure that all visitors have left the premises. You can comply with a security standard that the visitors log are likely to be reviewed as part of the compliance audit. Faraday cage is a type of enclosure that blocks any type of electromagnetic interference. It is commonly used with devices such as mobile phones when you want to prevent them from any electronic interference. You can simply put the mobile device in a Faraday cage. Once you put the mobile into this package, it cannot be remotely accessed. In the forensics field, these packages are commonly used to prevent the mobile from being accessed and to retain mobile content. Air gap is the segmentation of a network without any connectivity between the segment. The air gap doesn't allow free flow of information even from within an organization's LAN. Data can move low to high, low to high with minimal processes, whereas high to low requires much more stringent procedure to ensure the protection of the data is higher level of classification. An air gap is not 100% immune to viruses and malware attacks. Few viruses that use acoustic signaling may breach the gap and reach a secure network. Air gap networks are typically used with high security networks such as military financing organization, industrial control system, and life critical systems such as nuclear plans. Protected cable distribution is about using a carry, carrier that encase the cables, which is most cases are the network cable. There are two reasons for using protected cables distribution. The first reason is to protect the network cables from being damaged. The second reason is that it's protect the network cable from any kind of cable tampering, which is used to extract the signal flowing over the cable. The militarized zone is logically separated network from the internal network and allows the server to place is where it needs to be visible to the outside network. The network communication between the internal and the DMZ needs to encrypt. The web server should be placed the DMZ for public access. And the database server should be placed on the internal network. The database server should remain on the internal network so that if the web server is compromised, the database server is still safe. The server in DMZ have access to the internal internet, but they do not have access to the internal network, which in turn can access the server in the DMZ. This type of configuration is for security reason. This ensures that even an attacker gain control of the server in DMZ, they cannot access the internal network. Secure areas refers to an area that is limited access to users and other entities. Be in the network where the servers are connected or how the server racks are stuck in the data center. It could be logical entity that stores the username and password. Let's look at some of these secure areas. Vault is a special folder or tool that is used for storing the user credential and certificates. It can also store private and personal files that you consider are confidential. You need to install a tool such as McAfee, LifeSafe, and create a vault. Once you do that, you need to unlock and put your files in it. After this, you need to lock the vault once again. When you lock the vault, a set of vault files are created on your hard drive or a USB drive. You need to ensure that you safeguard the vault file because if they are lost, then you will lose the data inside the vault. Safe, you may be taking backups from the server or tapes or any other media. However, to be able to safeguard the media from falling into the wrong hands, you need to put them under lock and key, which simply means using a safe. A safe can be manually operated, which means you need to have a key alternate. Alternatively, it could also work with a digital key lock, which means you need to have a number combination to open the safe. Whichever type of safe you can use, you have to ensure that you do not let the keys and or number combination fall into the wrong hands. Access to the safe should be highly restricted. Anyone with access to the safe must also make a log entry with the date and time and the purpose of using the safe. Hot and cold aisles. There are usually numerous numbers of devices in a data center, ranging from routers, switches to servers. Each of these generates quite a bit of heat, especially a server stacked up in a server rack. In a cold aisles, you need to put the front of the racks facing each other. In front create a cold aisles, whereas the back create a hot aisles. The HVAC airflow would exhaust the hot air outside the data center and bring the fresh air to the cold aisles. Exercise 2, data destruction and disposal methods. When you delete data from a Windows system, it is soft delete. This means that the data is actually not deleted from the hard drive. It is because the file in Windows are tracked using the allocation table or using the master file table. FAT or MFT keeps track of the beginning and the end of a file. When you delete a file from the hard drive, the operating system, Windows in this case, deletes the pointer and is linked with the file. The pointer is responsible for pointing the file. When the pointer is deleted, the space for its related file is marked available. The user, the file is now deleted as a space is shown as free. However, the actual file are not deleted and can be recovered by data recovery programs such as Recuva. Data destruction methods. There are several data destruction and media sanitation methods. Some of them will destroy the media to ensure that the data cannot be recovered. Other methods will simply make the media unusable so that it can be used for data recovery. Pulverizing, shredding, and pulverizing data devices use the same method of destruction. Physical destruction methods such as using high-powered device used to destroy this device to ensure the data of these devices is not recoverable and all care much care must be taken before this device are destroyed. Ensure that no data will be needed in the future. The Gaussian method is used method uses a electromagnetic to wipe off the data and make the media useless. This makes the drive completely inoperable and impossible to recover any data from it. Drilling method uses a hammer and nails to destroy a hard drive. You can hammer the nails in the hard drive that creates hole to prevent the drives from spinning. Using this method, you can also damage the read or write head of the hard drive to ensure that no data can be recovered. Pulping method is used to destroy sensitive data on papers. It can be used to shred or non-shred paper. The ink is separated from the paper using the floating method. Flotation method and the paper is removed. After the wet After the water dries out, the pulp is created when then converted into a recycled paper. Shredding is a process of destroying sensitive paper documents using a paper shredder. Paper shredders cut the paper into small sizes, which is mostly impossible to put back together again. Care much Care must be taken when disposing of these shredded documents to ensure that it does not fall into the wrong hands. Burning, another method of destroying sensitive paper documents, is by burning these documents, which is ensure it will be totally unrecoverable in an incinerator can be used specifically for this.